You guys, why can't we just talk about the new Chloe 2026 fall line? As Sutton said, I really have a crazy hot take today, and it's never happened to me before, Al.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
No.
So I, for the first time in my life, agree with Kyle Richards. And I never thought I would see the day. But when she was on Amanda's side, I really had her back on that one. And Al, I think I'm Team Amanda.
Meanwhile, Sutton has crossed over from the couture side wearing Zara while flexing her Dolce & Gabbana muscles. Amanda, speaking of which, is so excited to be sitting shotgun between Kathy and Kyle. And the part that had me is that Erica has introduced a new word into the medical lexicon that describes the male anatomy, leading Kathy to seriously contemplate the relationship between warm hands, giant feet of David. Seriously made me uncomfortable, even more uncomfortable. Her whole Baywatch fantasy of it all. It was a lot going
Right?
on there. It was a lot going on there, but I got to understand why you're Team Amanda, and I really want to know why you support Kyle.
Let's get into it.
Let's go. Okay, truly so much to get into. If you agree with Kyle Richards and your Team Amanda, oh boy, this is going to be an episode.
Are we going to disagree?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm excited.
and I'm okay with that.
Wait, but before we start, have you been seeing all this stuff on Instagram about the Real Housewives of Miami and how they're quote unquote canceled?
Yeah, I did hear some chatter about that, and then I thought that Andy had rectified and says that they're not on cancel, but they're on pause, which, by default kind of sounds like they're canceled.
So,
Getting
yeah,
canceled soft landing.
I think Andy was totally doing damage control. I do think he told the women that the show was on pause because he told Dorinda she was on pause. He tells everybody they're on pause, right? But I don't think the women are happy at all because today Larsa on her story has a really funny and shady comeback. No, she wrote something about, well, our ratings are higher than RHONY. And then I saw Stephanie comment about Real Housewives of New York as well.
What'd you say? Stephanie is
Oh,
always it's fascinating to me.
I know. Stephanie is such a conundrum, right? Like, she's so complex in her personality in a way to me. But I believe she reposted a story and it was something along the lines of, why was our show put on pause when the New York Housewives ratings are lower? And honestly, Steph, good point.
All of the ratings are low. Period. Like they're all kind of really super low, and I don't know why Miami would be canceled. I know they're citing low ratings and all of that, but I think that they were one of the best casts, in the franchise next to Salt Lake, in that they are all friends and they all have real passionate feelings when they have conflict, and they teach you how to resolve conflict. They teach us a lot about friendship and loyalty and fabulosity, and I'm really super sad to see them off the show. I mean, off the air, if that's true.
I completely agree with you. I'm so shocked that they put this show on pause, but they somehow kept Rhodey. And it's just so strange because I believe Southern Hospitality had lower ratings and Housewives of New York at least. But if we really digged into that, I bet we could find more Bravo shows that did get renewed that had lower ratings.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about. I don't know much about it, and I definitely need to dive into it, but I have some initial wonderings about that myself. It doesn't seem equitable to cancel them when there's so many other shows that are doing so bad. Just to have a Roni reboot when God loved the entire, I mean, and when I say love, but no problem with any of the women that were on the Roni reboot. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. And so to invest and reimagine that, and I think the new cast is going to be interesting. Each of the women on the old Roni cast are amazing in their own right. No problem with them individually, but as an ensemble, they just didn't work. And so just to invest in the Roni reboot again and not really elevate an existing franchise of women who really do show up and do the job of the housewife, do the job of the friend of, show us how to seek resolution, because that's what the shows are about from a production angle. Yeah, we're going to start chaos, but we want to see resolution. Nobody does it better, so I can't understand why they're being paused when across the board, pretty much the entire franchise has low ratings, and Roni had even lower.
Yeah, exactly like Stephanie said, and like you just pointed out. And it seems a little shady, if you guys get what I'm saying. And there seems to be some undertones in this decision.
Yeah.
That's what the women are implying, at least.
Oh, really? Oh, that's what the women are.
Stephanie is.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know Larsa's upset. Lisa made a comment. I think the only no, I didn't see Adriana. I didn't see Alexia. Because I'm a little worried for Larsa and Stephanie in doing this. Are they risking the relationship with Bravo? I hope not.
Oh, who knows? You know what? And then maybe it's a sign. Get into something new. Do something different. You know, maybe,
Maybe, I
yeah,
mean, look,
maybe this is your year to do something different. You know, and do any of these women, in the real sense of the word, do they need the show? You know,
who needs the show? I
and,
don't.
and we're talking about not just from an economic standpoint, but just from a self fulfillment um, standpoint. Who on there needs the show and who on there doesn't? Do any of them need it?
I don't know. Maybe Alexia because she loves the fame and she loves to be the star. She did say it on the show. She said, "I am the star." So I think Alexia might be the most upset
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, but from a financial and self worth point of view, very few of them on that show need that. So I think that they can find other places to land because they're fabulous in their own right, with cameras up, with cameras down. Yeah,
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with staying home, being retired, if that's what you want to do, because I would love to live that soft life.
yeah.
And Alexia, before we end this conversation, Todd and Alexia seem to be getting back together. So I don't know if Bravo and the
Oh,
Todd thing, because he said he was going to sue,
oh, that makes
remember?
sense. That entirely makes sense. But
It
why let?
could be the Todd of it all.
But why have the entire franchise suffer? And I don't know legalities, and if somebody knows it better than us, please like tap in and let us know. But if we just
Please.
removed Todd and Alexia from the equation, and you brought back the rest of the cast, and maybe introduce another cast member, or really elevate Stephanie, who I think was great for the show, that seems to be a more plausible way to keep the show
Exactly.
running. But I got to tell you though, this episode of Beverly Hills was giving boring. It really was giving boring
Yeah.
to me. Yes, and I have been championing this show ever since I started watching it, championing the season, thinking like, yeah, this is a good season. This is a good season. And I had the worst time taking notes for this. I mean, all I came up with were a list of questions. I just,
Oh my God, I'm so
you
excited
know,
to hear
but
them though.
I found it boring. I feel like, dare I say, Erica's a little bored. You
She
know,
is.
I'm tired of talking about Dorit's lateness. Amanda and Dorit, I'm sorry, Kyle and Dorit are never going to be friends.
Mm-mm.
The Amanda of it all is so played out for me. I'm so tired of her and the manifestation, and I'm just exhausted. And I think it only got interesting when Bose, you know, was prepared and fully engaged, locked and loaded, rat-a-tat-tat, to go heel to heel, toe to toe with Amanda. That's when it got interesting for me, but then it didn't.
They always do that.
Yeah,
They ended on such a high note,
right,
and we're just like, come on, the whole episode could have been like this.
right, right. So you are
Excuse.
agree. Take us down this journey, and I
Yes.
have a lot of questions. So tell me this thing about you, our team, Amanda. Now,
So, okay, before I get into the Team Amanda of it all, the show started with, oh my God, little Caius called his mom and he was crying. And apparently, you guys, Roger, whenever Rachel leaves, Roger does this. So Roger sat down Caius because Sky was at his friend's house and he told Caius about the new girlfriend. And I guess what he was implying was he basically told him like she's here to stay. And I think the girlfriend lives with Roger. I'm getting that because Roger constantly is trying to get the young boy to agree with this relationship, to accept the girlfriend, right? He keeps trying. He introduced them before Rachel was out of town. Now it's talking to him about it, and Rachel was out of town. Why can't Roger be a good co parent and just have this conversation with Rachel and Roger sitting their sons down and being, a team?
Yeah, I mean, this is the hard part. We don't know if that's not happening. Like, we don't know. Like, maybe
That's
that's
true.
the hard part about this for me because we're only seeing Rachel's side, which is a very valid side. You heard the boy in distress on the phone. You could hear the distress in his voice and how he did not feel comfortable with being put in that situation. But I hope I hope that there has been a sit down. I hope that they do have a sit down and work this out for the sake of the kids. I can't imagine most of the pressure Rachel must feel to be dealing with this divorce on camera and dealing with the emotional consequences that her kids are going through on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to really say about it. I wish Roger was filming so then I'd have a better perspective. But I have a feeling it would get so ugly. But then maybe that's the ugliness that this franchise needs.
Maybe this franchise needs something to kick it up a notch because I don't think the show was boring. I do disagree on that. I actually think this was an exciting episode due
Okay.
to Bose
Okay.
and Sutton and Amanda and Kyle, believe it or not, even her. Sorry guys, I just find that so shocking that I actually agree with the one person that I've been against since day one.
Okay, go. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So basically, what happens is the women are first of all, the women are constantly talking about Amanda behind her back. They're talking about her business. One part of the show, Sutton, no, not Sutton had to stop. But Bose picked up her phone and was reading the bad reviews of Amanda's business. And I didn't like that. I found that to be beyond shade. Like talking about someone's livelihood to me is too far. The way they say that the kids are off limits, I think your job should be off limits
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
Amanda needs that. She supports her family. Like she said, she's the breadwinner. And I believe her husband is a stay at home father. I think because she always says she's the breadwinner. So this episode really made me see Amanda in a new light. I thought to myself, why do we hate Amanda? Why does everybody dislike her? She's such a nice person. She seems kind to me, a little self involved. I'll give you that because obviously you can't deny that. A little conceited, of course. But people have had worse flaws on this show. What do you think?
I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking.
You're like, how can I disagree with you in every way?
No, I'm not thinking about that at all. Actually, I was trying to pull out what seems fair, and I suppose, you know, going after someone's business, you know, is probably that does affect their livelihood, and I can see where you're going with that. But my thing is that you get what you give.
You think she gives it?
I think she gives it. I think that Amanda is condescending in the most passive aggressive way. You know, the statement that she said, and I quote, you know, when they were at the dinner table and they were calling her out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I think she's getting what she gives. And what that means is that, I mean, to your question, has she done that? Is that what you said? I forgot what we said.
We cut that part. Okay, so time out. When I said, do you think she gives it? But you were already wanting to stop it, I think, at that point. You wanted to say the part before I said,
I got it. Okay.
yeah.
In fact, I'm going to stop this because what happened was the last time we had to cut out a chunk of recording, it jacked up the recording. So when she said, my life looks good because it is good, it's cultivated, curated, and co created and manifested intentionally. I designed it on purpose. I do so every day. So we get this elevator speech about how her life is so great and wonderful and all the things. And that is wonderful. We are all trying to self actualize in our lives every day. But it's almost like she's saying, but yours is not. No, and it's the constant digs. I don't think any woman in any friend group is going to want a friend where it's constantly about them. There's more investment in talking about themselves and just pitching the friend group in a way to just constantly shine a light on their level of perceived self-importance. That's tiring, it's insulting, and she's condescending. And I stand by that. I am not Team Amanda. I'm not Team Kyle because for so many reasons. And I want to hear about why you are Team Kyle on this one.
No, that's totally fair because in general, I'm not Team Kyle because I feel like Kyle
Yeah,
throws the rock and hides her hands.
1000%.
That's why I've never liked Kyle because she will implant so many little things in the group and then somebody else will say it. So the show even started with the women saying, why would Sutton room with Amanda? Sutton, why did you room with Amanda? Like they were asking her in the car, as if it's the craziest thing anyone's ever heard in their lives. They're like, gasp, why are you rooming with them with Amanda? But when Amanda took Sutton's laptop and put it on, like when she took her laptop and put it on Sutton's face pillow, I said, okay, so this is an example of Amanda being a little self important here because she's only thinking about her own book. Speaking of the book, because I'm only going to say these few negative things about Amanda. I do agree with Cyan that when you're rooming with somebody, maybe while you're writing your book, you shouldn't also be talking about your book. And again, why can't we talk about Chloe's new fall line? Because Sutton just wants to have a good time. They're in a beautiful villa. So she doesn't want to think about work or working hard. And Amanda's a workaholic. And she says it's because she loves what she does. Now, before I get into the show again, I do want to say that I really dislike how Bose is going on Instagram and constantly explaining what her behavior on the show is like. I don't like that she's going on Instagram and constantly, after every episode, like explaining herself. And I now notice that Amanda has to do the same thing because she's been doing it now.
I think Amanda's been doing that since day one. As it relates to why perhaps the ladies were so in awe or shocked that Sutton wanted to room with Amanda is because she started this season not being on Amanda's team. And then all of a sudden she wants to room with her. And the idea that she pitched us is that I want to get to know her. I want to help her, integrate better with the group. And she's getting nowhere with that. And the reason is because, and I really feel that this is the truth, that I kind of think that this might be what's going on with Amanda. She hides behind her business as a veneer. Like her business and her manifestation of self and all of her things and her accomplishments, that is her wall. That is her defense. She probably, if she did grow up in a cult, she probably doesn't really have the skills to really get deeper with women and to get inside of their shoes, their experience, understand who they are, and really get to know them authentically. You have to give some of yourself to do that. And she probably doesn't have the skills to do it just based on her background. But that work thing keeps her from engaging. It keeps her from engaging, and Sutton, I can't figure out, is she rooming with her because she really wants to be friends and help her integrate in the group? Or is she trying to be shady and, to Dorit's point, form this alliance? I'm going to say it's the latter because you could have, the energy that it took for her to meet with Amanda after that breakfast that they had, I think it was a breakfast that they had, and Dorit and Amanda were going back and forth.
and the issue of Dorit digging into her cult past came up, she took that moment to just really kind of stoke the flames as to like, yeah, you should be upset at Dorit. Yeah, you should be upset at Dorit. When really she could have also held her accountable too, and she didn't. So she's there for nefarious purposes. And I do agree with Dorit that she's trying to build an alliance, trying to find a storyline, and trying to pathetically score points with Kyle. So now we're back to Sutton Strack.
Well, okay, I was going to go there, so I'm so glad you went there because Kyle believes that Dorit is recruiting Bose and Rachel to form an alliance.
Gosh.
And then Dorit feels like Kyle is recruiting Sutton and Amanda to form an alliance. So if you really think about this argument, it's Kyle versus Dorit, and they're bringing everybody else into their side. And I see Dorit doing that a lot as well. So yes, maybe Sutton is trying to stay on the show, which I don't blame her because that's your job, to be controversial, stay on the show. Maybe she did want a room with Amanda because Amanda's the popular one, not even in a good way, but just her presence online is so broad. And I think Sutton is well versed. So I think by now she knew room with her because she's going to be the main character because everybody's piling on her. I believe they're hazing her. I believe there's a little bit of hazing involved. And I think it's a bit of, we've been here longer than you, like we have seniority. Now because Erica at that dinner when Amanda brought it up. So everybody remembers the part that Amanda finally brought it up, right? After Kyle and Sutton finally convinced her at the pool, you should be upset. You should be upset. And Amanda is less confrontational, I'm getting, or she just doesn't let things phase her. I don't know what it is. I would love to know more about her childhood because from the ages of 1 to 7, that's when our emotions are being formed in our brain, actually.
Mhm.
So whatever happens to you from 1 to 7 sets the tone for literally who you're going to be for the rest of your life. And that's why we go to therapy. That's why we try to grow to learn new ways to cope with things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I believe that Bose is a tool for Dorit.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as birds of a feather flock together. All of the shady women on the cast are all rooming together. Hi, Amanda, Kyle, and Sutton. And the women that are shady, but they're kind of in their agency and call it like they see it, are all friends, and they're all clicking together. I feel like those are just natural alliances, if you will, that have kind of just formed itself. I would have a hard time believing that grown women are purposely like trying to get on the recruits, like, let me recruit you for my side. What we did in high school, I think it's just they just naturally kind of gravitated to each other. And Erica's very much has always played the middle. She's in the neutral. She's not aligned to anybody else but herself in the best possible way. And that's kind of what I feel. Birds of a feather flock together, and they're all flocking to their individual nests. Team Shady less. And Bose, I'm sorry. I think that Bose is, listen, what has Amanda really done given the women on the show? I don't
Well,
think there's,
she's given them her authentic self, her
what is it?
manifestation, her business.
What's authentic?
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Because I'm going to make a little metaphor here. The same way that Bose's career made her so strong and vocal, and the same way Kyle's childhood made her jealous like a middle child, that's the same thing I think that's happening to Amanda is her career demands her to constantly be talking about herself, doing all these modules and like these, programs that she sells online, these courses. So I think she's just used to this form of behavior. I do. I truly believe this really is Amanda's authentic self. And she just is her job. Like, I think she loves her career. With Bose and Rachel, I feel Rachel, especially this episode, she was going up to everybody kind of like, did you hear what Amanda said? Like, what do you think about what Amanda said? Oh, she said this. Rachel, you are just being messy, girl, but I love you. I love the way you dress. I can't go against Rachel because I really like Rachel, but I don't agree with how she's treating Amanda, and I think it's related to her relationship with Sutton.
I'm going to take this off camera and I'm going to just imagine this situation happening in real time amongst a group of friends. I see it as you have a girl that comes into the group who is not willing to be vulnerable to the group dynamics and give to the group their true authentic self without job labels, titles, and manifestation, things like that. Who are you at your rawest core? You know who we saw at the rawest core? Dorit's last season when Kyle comes in her house and there's boxes everywhere. And you can see the dysregulation starting to form. We saw it in Erica for 2 seasons when she got really raw. Like, who are you to the core? What makes you hurt? What makes you cry? All we hear is this elevator speech about how she's manifested this life for herself. She's not emoting anything beyond credentials. And I think if we were in a real friend group, and I have been in friend groups like that, eventually you are going to be talking to each other like, oh my God, like, can you believe da 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 da? But like now that the cameras are up and we're seeing this in real time, yeah, but I guess Rachel is coming across messy, or is Rachel coming across like I'm so authentic that I am not resonating with this fakeness. It's not even the insinuation of fakeness; it is the continued display of it, and she is fake. And is she being hazed? I wonder would her experience be different if she didn't lead with credentials and she just led with, I'm Amanda and I've had a rough time. Did you know I was in a cult and here's what happened? But now you're mad at Dorit for digging for something that's clearly public record.
Yes, yes. Because if this was real life, Elle, I would not Google you. If we're out to dinner and like I meet 3 of your friends and we start this little friend group, I'm not going to Google these people. So if this is a real situation, it's not really appearing real. I feel like it's kind of a lot for the show. As far as Dorit goes, I feel like she's presenting the most fake behavior on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with Dorit Googling her. She probably is like, I'm not getting anything real from you. Let me see who you are. I think it's not, did she Google, it's the intent of why she was Googling. Was she Googling to be shady? Or was she Googling to understand? How is that any different than what Sutton did? I mean, Sutton didn't Google, but she went into depth about Erica's life when, her whole world came crashing down, holding a summit, the women, as to what she found in the article. How's that any different? How's it any different than what Kyle did to Denise?
Here's why it's different, because Erica's situation was all over the news. It was literal headlines. However, Amanda's not in the headlines. Yes, she was in a cult, but she's so open about it.
So what exactly? So what's the big deal that Dorit went to go find the information if she's so open to it? It's there.
I think it's because Amanda was going to start, like she was going to start in a more calm, get to know me way. And for her, that's her career, right? Because obviously Amanda loves her career. I think that she just got like, there's been so many situations where she's being hazed. For example, what about when Natalie was like, oh, who are these Pinocchio masks? And then Bose goes, Amanda. Ha. And then she lies and says she never said it later on when Amanda confronted her about it.
She suggested it. She didn't say these masks look like Amanda. She didn't say that. And that's, I think they were getting so hung up on semantics. The fact of the matter is Bose did infer that Amanda's behavior resembles a bit of Pinocchio like the mask. And I think that's probably all she needed to say. Don't know if I agree with the hazing part. I don't think I agree with that at all. And I certainly support Dorit's right to Google. You can Google whoever you want. Google whoever you want. In fact, you should Google who you want. But she might have gone a bit further if she had explained, this is why I did it, because I want to know who you are. And it is public record. You talk about everything else, but now you're offended about this. I think what we're talking about is you're feeling like maybe Dorit was exploiting Amanda's information, exploiting her. Okay. But Kyle has done the same thing with Denise,
Always.
right?
Always.
And Sutton, even though it was public, Sutton did the same thing to Erica. Yeah, her stuff was public record too. there was an effort to exploit their experiences information, and you're feeling like Dorit was trying to do that, and I feel like Dorit was just trying to figure out, who are you? That's how I see it, and no one on this cast is perfect this episode at all, except for Erica had the one-liners. I just love her one-liners. Love
With
her
the
line.
gutters. We'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that with the gutters.
She's so unhinged and unbothered. I just love how she's showing up.
I I don't think, Elle, that anybody who's traveled to Italy has said that about Michelangelo. I don't think. I think she might be the only person that's ever made that comment about that statue.
Yeah, I mean, to the that was a moment, and I needed that comic relief because largely I was really bored by this episode in general, and I'm really bored with Amanda, and
Hmm.
I am very bored with her. And that's a turn for me because I thought she was great, for the show, and she was really giving it, but now it's just getting tired. She has not progressed beyond, "Hi, I'm Amanda Francis, and here's my elevator speech, and my life is perfect." Like, she's been saying that for 6 episodes, but for the entire season, we haven't seen any growth from her.
Interesting, because I feel like we've seen growth from her.
Okay.
She's standing up for herself more. I think she wasn't used to this whole atmosphere of like being on TV, people Googling you, people talking about you behind your back, especially right at first when you first join a friend
Yeah.
group. I think that's why she didn't say the bad along with the good. And I think further down the line, she will open up more. And I hope she gets a season two. I really do.
To see her in season 2 because I like to see her come out. When I say come out and show us who she really is, there's no real effort to get to know the women beyond, "Come into my world and let me teach you about how to make your life better like me." Who wants to be friends with somebody like that? Nobody wants to be
No,
friends
I
with
see
know
your
it all.
point.
You know what I mean? What has she done to get to know the group? And I think that that's a big rookie mistake that she's made. She tried to connect with Dorit. But again, that was from a very removed place. "Well, let me tell you about your life and how you should make it better."
No, I see what you're saying. And I so same. I completely, you're valid. And I hear you, but I disagree.
Yeah, I'm not Team Amanda whatsoever.
And I changed my whole stance because I'm now Team Amanda. And I kind of feel like Bose is a mean girl because she did lie about it. So Amanda confronts Bose. Sutton gets involved, and there is a huge back and forth. And Sutton accuses Kyle of setting this whole thing up. She goes, "Here she goes again," and she walks up and leaves. So Rachel and Bose follow her back, not right away, but eventually. And they're their little clique. That's that little trio, and they're talking crap. That's what I see. I just see this like three almost like mean girl trio.
Nah,
You don't feel that way?
both of them are doing the same thing in different rooms.
Mm.
They're both doing the same thing, and Kyle is the queen of the walkout. She's the she's the queen of the walkout. "Hand me a Kleenex on my way out because I'm gonna start crying again," and I'm crying and crying. She does that too. So I feel like there's just so much hypocrisy. There's so much hypocrisy in this thing, and I'm so bored with Amanda and her manifestation, and I'm bored of Kyle and Dorit arguing. Y'all need to just not be friends.
Hmm.
I'm super sad that Erica and her are going to be on the outs coming up. I don't think that Bose lied, but I think Bose could have been more forthcoming. And I think she was, that she spoke to what the feeling was, that you have not shown up in a real way. But I think she could have offered clarity. "Yes, I did reference you as a Pinocchio because this is what you are." That would have made it better.
It really would have. But I think she honestly didn't remember that, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, because Bose posted on her, it was either X or Instagram, or I think it was Threads. I think it was Threads. So Bose keeps posting after the show. And like I said before, I just do not like that because I feel like she's ruining it for us. Like she's almost taking the joy of watching away by constantly running to Threads and having to defend yourself. So she said she honestly didn't remember it. She took accountability on either Threads or Instagram. But Bose, it's too little too late. Wait for the reunion. I think they already filmed their reunion actually, because I heard Amanda saying wait for the reunion a lot in interviews. And apparently Rachel's going to go after her in the reunion
She's going
too.
to have a
So
bad reunion. The reunion is bad.
It's probably going to be horrible for Amanda. However, I'm bored with Natalie. Who is Natalie and why is she here, you guys?
I think if I remember correctly, and I hope I have this right, but Natalie she's the ex-wife of Simon Fuller, and I believe she was being considered to be a housewife or a friend of. So
She's a friend of, and you're right. She's the ex wife of Simon Fuller. Production probably thought she was going to be more interesting because she's given nothing to us. In fact, when Amanda, Kyle, and Natalie are shopping, they broke up into groups of threes. So when they were shopping, Amanda asked Natalie, "Did you hear Bo say that?" Natalie says yes. But at the dinner table, she says, she kind of backtracks a little bit. And I love that Kyle calls her out. I was like, yes, Kyle, call her out because I am not a Natalie fan.
yeah,
Natalie, come
I
on.
I'm not. Yeah, she's okay for me. I'm not really thinking about her, but it does look like Bozama did apologize, and she says she's going to own this. She apologizes for hurting her feelings. She really, really does. I didn't mean to do that, and that's great. But she's not. But she's still doubling down on the sentiment, and that is okay. That is okay. But you know what? You know what we need? I think Amanda needs an apology. I think she needs to apologize about some things.
To who?
I think she needs to apologize and to really own the real conversation that happened between her and Kyle relative to uh Dorit socializing and talking about the divorce and PK. I think she needs just to empathize with maybe where Dorit was with that and to apologize that maybe I should have come to you first. I should not have said that or whatever. We haven't heard her apologize for anything.
Do you feel like Amanda is lying when she says, you guys want me to just complain and like tell you all my sorrows, but I have a good life and I really manifested this good life?
That's the shade I'm talking about. I have a good life. You guys clearly don't. If you weren't
It
the least
seems
bit unhinged, Amanda, they would not have recruited you for the show. Let's be that clear. Everybody has a good life and stays in gratitude for what they have, but we are all struggling on some shape or form. And that's the part that creates enmity between her and the other women. These statements that say, well, you're like that, but this is how I'm living my life, you know. And so how are you supposed to connect with that?
or like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I think you should do this. I can see that completely. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
I do get your point on that. And let's say that I agree with that because I do. She comes across as a little self involved, like I said. I don't know if she was an only child or what. Like, where does this come from? Because I love analyzing. That's what we do here at The Good Edit. We really get to the nitty gritty of it. And I really want to know more about Amanda's upbringing. What made her join the
We want to know
cult?
the backstory. What is the
I
backstory?
do.
But I think she did give us, to her credit, she did give us a snapshot of what that cult experience was like and her escape from it and all of that. And I will say this, that very possibly being in a cult probably shapes how she engages people from a very removed place. I kind of think Amanda
Hmm.
just doesn't have the skill to connect authentically and empathically with women in a real way over beyond business. I don't think she has the skill set. And then when she's confronted, she's like a deer in headlights and gives off this victim kind of thing. But I don't know what I did. But you've done a lot you've done some things. And she doesn't know how to, it's like she can't be wrong. I can't be vulnerable enough to be wrong and say, you know what, I kind of messed up. I shouldn't have done that.
I
She's
hear
all
you.
carrying out
I
her
don't think,
regrets. And I think it has something to do with being in a cult.
but I also wonder what makes one join a cult. Like, did it
Yeah.
happen? So, actually, the way she kind of described it was that it was like an accident, right? She met up with the preacher that she really yeah, and then she moved with him to Florida. So that was, I mean, it's a little extreme to move with your pastor to a different state in the first place. So she seems like just a super involved, devoted person. Like when because think about it, the cult, right? She was so involved, she had to move her business. She talks about it all the time. It's basically her personality. So I think she's kind of just very focused singularly on one thing, but I can totally see how it's coming across conceited. Like, I don't know if she did anything because you said she did something. I don't really know what she did to apologize for, except for just say that I am telling the truth. My life is amazing. But what if it is? What if it is? What if she's telling the truth and her life to her is so perfect? Let me give you an example. One time I had a house party and like some girl said, yeah, but couples that post on Instagram together all the time aren't really happy, right? And that was so early into my relationship with my husband. I don't even think we were married yet. So I kind of looked at her as like, Bird, what did you say, girl? Because it's like, I do post with him and it is perfect because at the time, our relationship didn't have any struggles yet. So my truth was that my relationship was
Sure.
perfect.
Sure. Okay. So that's totally valid. But here's my thing. Okay, Amanda, your life is so perfect, so wonderful. It is perfect. Maybe it is absolutely perfect. And if it is, then you need to have a show called The Perfect Life. So we could all learn how to lean into that. But you're saying this in an atmosphere of women who are all clearly going through something. You've got Dorit with the crappy separation and divorce. You've got Erica, who's, in deep with all of her legal stuff that's going on. You have Rachel, who is entering into a very contentious divorce season. These are women that are all going through something. And so when you keep saying how wonderful and life and perfect your life is, you're not being sensitive to maybe they're going through something. Maybe you should take the light off of you and say, tell me what's going on. What is it that you need from me? What is it that I can do? Is there something I can do to, help you make this better or help you cope with this? You just don't do that. It, you know,
You,
you have to read. It goes back to reading the room. And I know people have something to say about Kathy telling her to read the room, and that was mean. It wasn't mean. It was absolute fact. Read the room. Read the room. Period. If I'm in the middle of with girlfriends who are really going through a bad breakup, you think I'm going to talk about how amazing, you know, my husband has been to me? And,
life is,
no,
yeah.
decenter that, and I want to focus squarely on you.
Yeah, I don't think you can constantly talk about yourself 24/7 with other people. I mean, that's just not a way to get people to like you. Isn't that one of the 48 laws of power? I remember this from a book. Didn't Richard Green say, like, one of the ways to get there's a book, like, it's either the 40 I don't quote me on the 48 laws of power, but it's something like how to get people to like you, something I had to read for sales, but basically it's ask people about themselves and don't talk about yourself so
Sure.
much. So that fact, I definitely understand how it's impacting the group
Yeah,
because they don't like her now.
because then you develop intimacy in the group when you decenter yourself and you just fall squarely into that person's story or that person who's in front of you. That's how you build intimacy. You don't build intimacy by getting to a new group when you're talking about yourself, 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 yourself. Nobody wants to hear that. I mean, nobody wants to hear that.
No, I know I don't. I like my friends when they listen to me and tell me their problems 50-50 equally, you know?
But I could see what you're saying, being Team Amanda to some degree, because what I think I hear you saying is that you don't, from your perspective, you feel like she is piling on to people, doing a pile on. And from my perspective, I'm saying I don't think that they're piling on. I think it's built up frustration that you are not
Yeah.
your real self with the group. And, you're coming across very entitled and dare I say, extremely self-absorbed. I would think it would be nice if Amanda had a second season, and I hope that we see this more authentic person emerge. Maybe she can take lessons from just, Sutton since she's distracting herself. Maybe she can learn how to,
Well,
you know, unlayer and unpeel, manifest unlayering herself. That would be great. And just coming, you know, raw to the table. Okay, so here's something I've been thinking about. And I found it kind of interesting. I want to get your take on it. Number one, what I think I'm hearing from you is that you don't like that it's appearing that she's getting piled on. because
That is correct.
nobody likes a pylon, right?
That's
And that
true.
pylon has a trickle down effect to the fans who also pile on. They have this parasocial relationship with the characters, and they take on their perspective, and they also engage in the piling on in their discords and all of the things. But I think what you may be perceiving as hazing is rather a group of grown, dare I say, grown ass women who are tired of being told how to live their lives. And I think it was just this collective frustration that has just kind of risen to the surface, and they were just putting it out there. Like, yeah, what she said and this, because you're just collectively tired and feeling like you are not a good fit in this group because you're not even trying to take the step to get to know us. And we don't know who you are beyond your resume. What's interesting is that up until this week, the fans were not Team Amanda. And there's so many Reddit threads and blogs and Instagram feeds that show this. And all of a sudden, post argument with Bose, or post the scene with Bose trying to hold her accountable, and Bose went in and told it like she did, as she always does. Now all of a sudden that sentiment has changed. Why do you think that is?
Yikes. I mean, isn't that the elephant in the room? Why did Bose change everything all of a sudden? That is such a good point in question.
Yeah.
And I know that on my end, I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes research, and my like for her was based off of like interviews off the show. But if it was only from the show, I wonder what I would think about her, to be honest. However, the audience, you have a good point. Is it because, should I say it? Did everybody change their mind because Bose said something this week and not Kyle or Dorit or Sutton?
Yeah.
And is it because she's a Black woman?
That, and or because she speaks with such presence and she's commanding, and she's resolute in what she says. I do like that she did take accountability and did apologize for what she said or what she inferred.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, it's pretty much I said what I said, and that can be a little intimidating coming from a woman, dare I say, a Black woman, because sometimes when we say things, people have an issue. It may be something, it may be nothing. I just thought it was interesting that sentiment shifted with the fans as soon as that episode aired, where Bose is now the one taking the lead on making her accountable. Then the audience started to rally around Amanda. I don't know what that is. And one other thing that I don't think that we should forget, and this is to your point about Bose running on Instagram and posting and defending herself and making comments about Amanda and possibly ruining the viewer experience. I don't think we can forget that Amanda did fire shots at Bose early on the season in reference to Bose's career legacy and insinuating that Bose's own career journey, particularly as it relates to giving courses, wasn't successful. So at this point, if Amanda pokes the bear, the bear is going to growl, okay? And I think that's probably why Bose is reacting to Amanda the way she is, and also using social media as a weapon against her.
And I wonder if Bose feels that way. Like,
No,
why is everybody on her side now that I'm against her?
I haven't even seen that sentiment enter the chat. That's just something like that I thought of, like, that's an interesting thing.
I never thought of that until you said it. And it's such a good point.
But I also wonder, after watching today, I'm like, why is this show not working? Maybe as the millennial, she doesn't fit in with this group.
There's a lot of that because they did have the conversation around millennial words. Remember
Right,
that at the
right.
dinner table? It was either Erica or Dorit. These are just words that millennials use. These are common words for millennials.
And
They did say that.
and Crystal was a millennial, but Crystal worked with the group because she's married to Rob Minkoff. She's had some experiences, and she had some social skills that she brought to it, whether you agreed with them or not. She brought something, to the table, whereas Amanda is this millennial and bringing nothing to the table. I would rather see, honestly, if they want to, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but if they want to really amplify and elevate this franchise, get her off and bring in Camille Grammer.
Love Camille Grammer. Come on
Who's
now.
gonna
You
bring
just
some
said the
fire?
one thing.
Yeah. Who's got to bring some fire to it, or, a Lisa Rinna-esque, or Lisa Rinna herself would be great, but someone who can go head to head, toe to toe, and there's equity in the power play. There's a lot of disequity. She doesn't fit in the group. I don't think she fits in the show. But I wouldn't mind seeing her
Yeah.
again to see her redeem herself. That's where I rest.
Exactly. We need to give her one more chance to redeem herself. Elle, what do you think? Okay, I have a little theory that's not a theory, but I'm just wondering, is production cutting out the parts where Amanda does ask people about themselves to
Probably.
mold her into this selfish, conceited woman? You know what I mean? And is production recognizing how bad this show is getting? And this is all they had. And they had to make this little argument. And I feel like the editing and the production behind the scenes, they could have been saying stuff to Amanda, like, don't give in to them. And then the other producers are like, don't back down to Amanda. So I think the producers don't set them up for success, obviously. They
But
want a good show.
they definitely knew who they casted, and you're probably 100% right. But I think with or without production, my gut feeling is that this is who she is. And my gut
Maybe.
feeling is that whether the cameras are on them or not, she would be having the same kind of dynamic no matter what group she landed in, because she makes it very clear, I'm not like you guys. And that's not what this show is about. And I think I just got really exhausted with that.
To your point, though, I can see how you would see that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to
So
say.
I don't know.
But I will say Crystal did have a problem. Like, they didn't like Crystal for a while. And it was the millennial issue too. So that is so interesting. Can a millennial work on Beverly Hills? I wonder.
Yes, I think they can. And I think the difference between Crystal and Amanda is that Crystal tried to get to know the women. Nobody knew that Crystal was a cajillionaire, billionaire, coconut water dynasty queen until like
Okay.
towards the end of
Yeah.
her season. Nobody knew what she really did. She didn't really lead with that, you know? And so I don't know. That's just, I don't have anything else to say about Beverly Hills. I did not enjoy this episode. I did enjoy Erica immensely. Uh, Erica and Kathy.
Erica's the comedic relief that we need.
Erica and Kathy. What was going on with Kathy and the Baywatch? I was like, what? Literally, at one point, I was just like covering my eyes. What has
The
happened?
way she was describing it, she's like, the water is stripping down. And then she's like, my legs. And I'm like, Kathy, what? Whoa. Like, time out. Where did your legs, when did your legs get into this conversation?
Yeah,
She's hilarious. So is Jennifer.
Jennifer.
They're two hilarious women.
I love Jennifer. I love how she just removes herself and she just stays in Jennifer land. She
She's
literally,
like, I'm a multi-millionaire and I can do anything I want. She
yeah,
doesn't care about
she
anything.
does not care about anything. And may she always stay a friend of, because that's the safest place to be, as well as Kathy. Stay a friend of. We need you guys as friend ofs.
Hallelujah. Amen. Because they would stop being funny if they weren't friends of, because the producers would force them to argue.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, if Amanda comes back, I'd like to see her evolve. And if not, I'd be okay with that. I'd like to have a real power player in the building, a real power player who's
Like Bozema a little bit.
like a Camille, who can really kind of, you
Ooh.
know, I mean,
So I don't understand why Camille's not on the show. I
yeah,
don't.
we're gonna call
Why
her and
is
ask. Let me
Camille
call her and
not a
ask her.
friend?
Let me call her and ask her. I think Camille is living her best life. Camille is somebody I don't think who needs the show emotionally or economically. She could do it or she could not do it. I think she's very happy popping in for a few scenes and back to my real life.
She could be a great friend of. She's better than
Yes.
Natalie.
And there is true conflict and tension between her and Dorit. So that's what would make it interesting. And they can meet each other where they're at. I'm sorry, Amanda doesn't fit the show. Okay. That's all I got. That's all
She's
I got.
like, that's it. This is done. Amanda sucks.
No, I don't think she sucks. I don't think she sucks. I just don't think she's good for the show. And I think she's just not interesting to me.
No, I totally get that. I can't stand Natalie. And I normally don't like Kyle. So this was a shocker for me, but I just like Amanda. And I'm not really thinking in terms of is she good for the show? Well, she's bringing such conversation, so maybe she is, but I I just like her as a person based on her Instagram. And I think I'm just looking at her interviews, and it's a lot more than just who she is on the show, that I think I actually really like her, but I didn't in the beginning, I will
Amanda's
say.
doing just as much as shady Instagram posting as Bose is. It's tech.
Probably.
It is. I'm watching it. They're both doing the job of the housewife. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. What are we covering next? We've got to get into Ladies of London.
You guys, it's so good. Ben on it is hilarious. I have to rewatch all four because I haven't learned their names yet. So sorry, audience. But also, can you comment below if you don't mind, if you're on YouTube? Do you mind just letting us know what you think of Amanda? Because now I'm just curious what everybody thinks.
I would hate for any cast member such as Amanda to feel like she's disenfranchised and not being treated fairly and feel like she's getting a pile-on. But I would also love her to pause and think about how she's disenfranchised others, especially us viewers, from really getting to know the real her, because we're kind of bored with this whole elevator speech she's got going on. I can't say I like her or dislike her. I just don't care for what I'm seeing, what she's bringing on the screen. I don't care.
Wow. No, that's so wild because I'm so fascinated by this person. I want to get into her head. I want to dissect everything about her.
Yeah, in my real life, I don't rock with self-centeredness. I just
In real life, no
I
way.
don't. So it's very kind of intolerable to watch, and I don't think it's performative. I believe that that is the real her.
If you acted like that, we wouldn't have a podcast together. So I get what you're saying. I really, if you only talked about yourself for an hour, I don't think anybody would be listening. So, I mean, that's valid.
Yeah. All right. See y'all next time. And
Bye, guys. Thank you
bye.
so much for listening. Comment, like, and subscribe, please.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.